the early Portuguese and Spanish colonization, which helped to establish, the foundation of Catholicism in Asia. The Philippines is the biggest majority of Catholics in Asia, followed by other countries like Timor-Leste and so forth. But I think regardless of whether a majority or a minority, the Catholic community is really committed. If you go to any of the churches, maybe in Singapore, maybe in Malaysia, maybe in Japan, and even China, you always see a room-filled church ready for mass. In like Singapore, even in Japan, which is often described as a swamp by many of the missionaries, many of the political leaders, even some of the prime ministers, were educated in Catholic schools.
Three things came to the church, to European church, between 2015 and 2025. The first thing would be the crisis in the religious vocation. The seminars just went empty. The second thing is the mass media just put the highlight on the scandals in Ireland, specifically in Spain, in Germany. And so it seemed like all the sexual scandals, especially with people underage, were going on in the church. And the third thing that I think has changed the role of the laity in the church has been Pope Francis, because he realized that without religious vocations and without attachment to the church, things were going to be missed. No apostles in the church, in the parishes and in the church. So we needed the laity.
There is growth and there is hope. We see this with the number of lay people who are getting involved, serving the church. So with the increasing number of young people embracing this, with the increasing number of young people getting involved in doing outreach, in doing ministry, in serving the church, we see a future for the church. Some of the teachings of the church will be seen by everybody else as hard or unachievable. For example, waiting till marriage to have sex, not cohabiting. It is a big challenge for the young people because everybody around them seems to actually be doing that.
Our region is in most desperate need for the Catholic contribution. If I look at Costa Rica, I would say that, Costa Rica has better living standards than some other countries in the region because of the social reform that in the 1940s was proposed. It was developed mainly because of the Catholic social teachings of the church. Ours and other countries as well, I know, but ours is a clear example of how Catholic social teaching should be implemented for the well-being and the common good of our countries. Business corporations have a lot of influence on how do people think and how do people react and how do people spend their income. So I would say that we need Catholic business leaders that are willing to implement Catholic social teaching. And Enrique Shaw, the Argentinian businessman, and he was actually a businessman, a well-known businessman. He was a very talented person, and he was, a very decent man, and he was a holy man.
There is a renewed, and perhaps it's related, a renewed excitement in the United States because we have an American Pope. In a sense, it was time for an American Pope so that focusing on unity and pastoral care, but I also see accountability. The people want clarity. And so that little bit of accountability, that little bit of making those important statements is an American trait. And I think that benefits the global church. And I think here in the US and in Canada, that clarity is helping the faithful to be more united. I do see more just regular people, regular lay people. They're understanding that it's up to them to make a difference in their own communities. And so they're taking action in ways that maybe before they would sit on the sidelines. And I think Tepeyac does a great job of this, of equipping people to become leaders in the various sectors.